Morning, guys. It's just a quick one, really. I've got two spare tubs of whale's breath. Now to me they look as though they're a little bit bigger than 16mm, which they're gonna be because they've got obviously they've got bloodworm coating on them, and then they've got a dried krill on. Now these were rolled as wafters, so they've got a little bit of base mix in there, but they are super buoyant, absolutely super buoyant. I've tested them. And there were no giving with rigs that they were on. They were just sat perfectly all right. So there's two tubs of them going spare, and this is really now I've decided now that this bait is a bait that I'm going to be using myself on River Valley. This one and the peach and black pepper is the bait that I'm going to be using myself on River Valley and on Treaton. And there's another guy that I'll be fishing with who will also be using it at Pull. So it's pretty much the last you're going to be seeing of this, apart from the video blogs that I will be doing on YouTube to do with making them and how they going on fish wise, because I'm going to do a lot more blogs this year. I've just got myself a decent tripod because I ain't going through all that again. When I say tripod, I've got loads of good tripods. Now I've just ordered myself a tripod for my mobile phone after what happened to me last year with that linear. I'm still gutted about it, to be honest. It hurts every time I think about it. It was just my own stupid fault. It should never have happened. But hopefully it's not going to happen this year. I can have that tripod outside. I don't care if it gets rusty or what. We're only cheap, you know what I mean? So I can have that in back at the car. And then all I've got to do is just clip my mobile phone to the front of it, press record. And in future, I bought a new mat as well. All this has been done around the loss of that linear. It's the mat I've got. I will always use the mat I've got because I really like the size of it and I like the thick padding of it. Now I will still use that, and I will use it underneath of the mat that I've just bought, and then put the other mat on top. But it's got higher walls on the mat I've just bought, and it's got a thing that comes over the top that clicks, what stops fish from getting out on all ends. So I bought that through the loss of that linear, which, as you can understand, I'm absolutely gutted about that, because the free fish people talk about catching it in from Treaton is a fish called, and I go on what Dean says me, because Dean's the guy that knows stuff about Treaton, you know what I mean? Like, it's River Valley, I know River Valley like back of my hand. So does Baz and a few other lads down there. Nah, but when I got onto Treaton, I had a few people coming up to me, and there was a few tried telling us stuff about spots and that, but we stopped them in the tracks and says, can you just not we don't want to know a thing. This was me and my brother. We both says we don't want to know a thing about it. We're not being funny or anything like that. It's just we want to find his own spots. And if you put an idea of that there's a gravel bar out there at 35 wraps or whatever, yeah, and we've got that in his head, we're going to be going for that straight away. So it's a no-no, that, in my books. So if you do see me on Binder, I don't really want you coming up to me telling me about spots that are in my swimming. I know where spots are, I find them. I spend plenty of time looking for them, and I find them. I spend probably as much time finding spots as, probably more, than I do fishing. So it's something I just don't want to know, you know what I mean? So it's no offence to them people. I know they're trying to help and everything like that. But it's a lot going on about the old riverbed down on Treat, and you want to be on the old riverbed. Listen, that was in 1804. That riverbed was in 1804. There's actually, if you walk round Treaton, you look at the inlet and you look at the outlet. The inlet is nothing. It's nothing. It is barely a trickle. That is going to have no effect on that riverbed. Over that time, since 1804, the leaves and everything else that have come in each autumn on that river, on the pond, and they've drifted, and eventually they've sunk, they will have took that riverbed completely out. So don't be getting into the mindset that we need to be on that old riverbed. There's an old riverbed there, and all. Listen, you don't need to be on no riverbed. It's you need a nice firm spot, or a nice silty spot that is good silt. When I say good silt, I mean when you bring it in, you get your lead and you smell the silt. If the silt smells not nice, but not rank. It's not a rank smell, and then you get a rig back on it. It's more than likely there's bloodworm in it. Now I will often flick over and I will put an old hook on. Now I've got a couple of hooks that I use for drop shot fishing, that I've got like an extra hook, couple of hooks actually on the shank. And what I found is they're great for casting out to them kind of silty spots, and really slowly pulling it back across those silty spots. Once you've sharpened the point, bringing it back and then lifting it up and bringing it in. And more often than not, if it's a decent spot, you will get something on one of those little sharp edges or on the point of the hook. A couple of times I brought bloodworm in on the point. A couple of times I brought what was the other one that I brought in? I forgot the name of it now, but I brought another. I was going to do me nuts in all day now. That is. Well, I brought stuff in on that hook, and it was to me that screamed that it was full of natural food, and them can't know that area's there. Now, we're no bigger than, I'd say, a metre by a metre squared, if that. It was as big as a mat, really. It was very small, but it was surrounded by silt. And to anybody that's just got into sport and they casted out there and brought the lead back, and they just kept bringing it back, there was no difference in feel whatsoever if you just got into fishing. But because you've been doing it, when you've been doing it a while, you get to feel the very, very more subtle changes in stuff. And what I found was that the rank stuff, it was like pulling a lead across ice. It skirted. And then when it got onto the silt that was healthy and it had bloodworm in it, it was still skirty, but it was more dinky. Now, to me, that's it's more that there's something working that area. It's just like worms in your garden, that they'll work that area and they'll turn it over. Now the thing that you'll find as well is, that don't mean to go, I'm going to go down there this year and I'm going to put a lead exactly on that spot, because more often than not, it will now be a dead zone. I put all together last year, I must have put at least, and I ain't exaggerating when I say this, at one day when I went down there, I put 20 kilo of particles on that spot. 20 kilo. A bucket, a 20 kilo part. If someone would have saw me, would have thought we're crazy. But I put 20 kilos on that spot. And I put a fair bit out to the side on spots that my brother were fishing. Now, funny enough, he didn't catch off the spot that I baited for him. He caught from the about I'd say 4 or 5 rod lengths behind that baited spot. But he kept getting liners all the time, which tell me that fish were actually in his swim. But he did have a nice few fish. I think he had three or four that night, and one that I would like to catch myself. It was a really dark common, and I think it was 21 pound. They were really nice. Really looked a little bit like the fantail of the fantail one that's in Treaton, that's about 16, 17 pound. But this one was a bigger animal altogether, big underslung mouth, really nice. He's not put many pictures on it. He kind of went away from fishing a bit. He did, our Jowls, but he's back to it, and he's back rolling bait as well. So that's great news if I ever need an answer to get any bait out there. But as far as I can say is, I'm looking forward to getting back on there this year, and I don't often say that about a place that I've done a fair bit of time on. You know what I mean? It's I'm convinced there's fishing in Treaton that I haven't been go before, I'm absolutely convinced of it. It is it's not a big gravel pit. We talk about it as big pit fishing. It's not big pit fishing. If you can see one end to other, it's not that big a pit. It's not some of them that I've seen. Some of them, it's like waves that come in. And it's the reason that we have as rods, you know what I mean? And I really did like doing that last year, is I liked having the rod tips high, and I thought the indication were far better, and I don't often do it. I normally have my rods all neatly at the side of each other, but last year, bank stick with 3-rod buzzer bar on top, just stuck in, rods up against it, and off I were fishing. But the indication seemed to be a lot better. The takes were unbelievable. They were just a knock on rod tip, and then rod just hooked over, and the Delkin was still buzzing after I'd lift rod up, and I was still playing fish. The takes were that savage. So get back to the original thing that I put on for is yeah, if anyone's wanting these tubs, then just drop me a PM, and I'll get them, either get them to you, or you can pick them up. But if you need posting to you, then you're gonna have to pay postage on them, guys. Honestly, because I can't afford to be posting them not for prices that I charge for them. So a little bit more than the normal pop-ups I do, obviously, because of coatings and everything that's in them. But today I'm gonna focus on making. I've got one guy that wants some wafters off me now. He's from down south. I think he's from down south somewhere, and he's fishing some decent places down there. So it'd be nice to get some photos of somebody that's fishing Yateley and places like that, Sandhurst and stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna roll him some wafters. And if these ain't gone by tea time, then he'll be getting a tub of them and all. Just for the simple reason of is that I know for definite that when his pictures come, they're going to be real English gems, because it's a crusty country. That's where the lovely, nice, crusty fish come from, the old fish. So it will be well worth it to me. But it's like I said, he wanted wafters, and today it will be wafters he will be getting. I've got a base mix now that I've got solely for wafters. I've took pretty much everything out of it to do with kelp and everything like that, which could add a little bit of extra weight to them. And all the fish meals come out of them. And let's face it, a pop-up is nothing more than really for attraction. And I'm going to make them overly attractive with the bloodworm and the krill, which are both, the bloodworm's heavy, but the krill is actually in its liquid form of krill. It is quite heavy, but the powdered krill I've got, it's quite light, and I know I can get a fair bit of that into some wafters. So I'm going to roll in some wafters today. They're going to be the same colour as these are. But I'm going to try and get them done for him today and see how we go. I'm going to nip up, I'm going to have this cup of coffee while I'm doing that, and then I'm going to nip back to where I got the crayfish from over there, and I'm going to have a good look round today, and hopefully I'm going to be able to get the fermented shrimp, and also see what kind of stuff they've got to do with crab. They also had a lot of other stuff in there that I'm really interested in as well, so I need to have a good look around there today, definitely. So we'll see how we go. Right then, guys, have a good day, and I'll check you later.